Yeah, with the main Chip Washington. It's real talk. Man, it's real talk with your main Chip Washington. When it comes to information, the main got an arsenal. Bring you up to speed with what you need. He's the local and nationwide news feed. Let's talk about it. Dialect to do something about it. Chip got the flow wide open if you got questions about it. Man, it's the show that brings you to your raw. To solve all problems, it starts with real talk. Real talk. It's 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 real talk. Yeah. Welcome to Real Talk with your host, Chip Washington. It's real talk. It's real talk. It's real talk.
And here we go. On this Monday evening, it is the 28th day of October, 2024, 6 o'clock straight up, which means, yes, ladies and gentlemen, it is time for another all-new and live edition of Real Talk Memphis. And it's great to be here. I am your humble host. My name is Chip Washington. Nice to be here for another week. Nice to be back in the air chair and nice to be hanging out with you. Hopefully, you'll be hanging out with us for the next hour or so. It will provide you with some good information and some great guests and all of that kind of stuff that there. I hope that you have had a good week. It's been 7 days since we hung out together, and I hope everything's been going well for you. I think we have a pretty good show for you tonight, and we will commence that in just a few minutes. Now, if you are relatively new to this show, you can catch us in a variety of ways. Of course, now we're on live, 91.7 on your FM dial. That will be WYXR. And you can also catch us on the app, the WYXR app. As well, that's WYXR.org. We're on the TuneIn app. We are live streaming the show tonight, so you can catch us on Facebook Live. And when the show posts in a day or two, you can also find us on YouTube for you YouTubers out there. And as we are a podcast, what do you mean you didn't know we were a podcast? We're a podcast. If we're so as a podcast, they'll post the show, and you will be able to find us wherever it is you get your podcast. So again, it's great to have you with us on this Monday evening. So next Monday, by the way, when we come in, and we're already seeing it now. The days are getting shorter, right? So next Monday, when we're on air at 6 o'clock, it'll be pitch black dark. So I don't know how many people, like the daylight savings time thing happens on late Saturday night, early Sunday morning, where you fall back, so you lose an hour. Okay, so many of you get off work 5 o'clock. A little after 5 o'clock, it'll start getting dark outside. So prepare for all of that. As far as the show is concerned tonight, I think we have some good guests to engage you with. We're going to be speaking with Hendrell Remus. He is the Tennessee State Director of the Democratic Party. He's the chairman of the Democratic Party in the state of Tennessee. And he'll kind of talk to us about what is happening out here in terms of the election, which is now 8 days away, ladies and gentlemen. Next Tuesday is Election Day. You only have a few days until Thursday if you're going to register to vote. I mean, not register to vote. You have to plan to vote early. Early voting ends on the 31st at 7 p.m. So if you don't get it done by Thursday, you're going to have to go on next Tuesday. And I'm sure wherever it is you go, there's going to be some long lines out there. So just prepare for that. But anyway, we're going to talk to Hendrell about the numbers statewide, what is happening here locally, and just kind of the overall outlook in terms of not only the presidential election, but the state wide elections as well, because a lot of legislators and Senate seats are up for grabs as well. A little bit later on, we will be talking with Deborah Clubb. Deborah is the executive director of the Memphis Area Women's Council. This being October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. And, every year we try to focus on that at some point or another because it is a very important topic and it is still a big problem in our society. So we'll be talking with Deborah about that. And a little bit later on, we talked about MATA. MATA has a brand new board, a 9-member board, to try to hopefully clear some things up. Last week they made some moves to put a hold on the layoffs, put a hold on the reduction of routes, and some other things. And we are going to have one of the newly elected board members, MATA board members, join me a little bit later on in studio. Her name is Cynthia Bailey. And not only is she a new MATA board member, she actually rides the bus. So she can give us that perspective that only one this close to the situation can do. So that's a look at the guest list for this evening. But right now, as we do each and every Monday evening, if you celebrated a birthday over the weekend or you celebrated one today or you have one coming up this week, it's the shout out, ladies and gentlemen, where we salute you on making another trip around the sun. But we can't do that until I say hit it, Brent. Happy birthday, happy birthdays going out to the following folks. Let me see here. Phil Williams celebrating his birthday today. Happy birthday, Phil. Happy birthday to the twins, Leonard and Bernard Chambers, celebrating their birthdays today. Karen Lee Lane, happy birthday to you, celebrating as well today. Julian Bolton, former Shelby County legislator, celebrating his birthday today. As is Vanessa Hudson Brown. Thanks, man. She's celebrating today. And Darren Calhoun. And Lola hasn't walked up to the mic, so I don't think she's got any birthdays on her ledger today. But listen, for all of you who do, and all of you who are celebrating, I hope this day has been filled with love and laughter, fun for you. And we hope that we're around next year to celebrate your next trip around the sun. Happy birthday. Thanks, Brent. Let's and also before we move forward, a death to report. Many folks may have known Alvin Moore. Alvin was a Shelby County Sheriff's worked for the Shelby County Sheriff's Department for a very, very long time, and he's also a community leader. He is the husband of Judge Betty Moore. He died last week, and it was a shock to a lot of us who knew him. I was very taken aback by that. He was a really, really a nice fella, and for those of you who knew him, I think you can concur and agree. And may his memory always be a blessing to each and every one of us. And again, our deepest condolences go out to his wife, Judge Betty Moore, and of course their entire family. Let's take a quick look at news and notes, shall we? Some breaking news earlier today. Cleotha Apston, the man who pleaded guilty to the first-degree murder in the 2022 death of Memphis runner and school teacher Eliza Fletcher. Well, today he entered that guilty plea in Shelby County Criminal Court, and for that he will serve life in prison without the possibility of parole. So he will die in prison for what he did. Previously, before that was on the table, was the possibility of him getting the death penalty. So I guess he decided that he wanted to spend the rest of his life. He's 40 years old, so he'll spend the rest of his life in prison. He was facing the death penalty for the kidnapping and killing of Eliza Fletcher. Early voting, as I said a minute ago, ends in just a few days. Have you done your duty yet? Have you gone to the polls yet? Have you exercised your rights yet? You only have until Thursday to be able to do it early. So far, over 150,000 registered voters have gone to the polls, which is a little lighter than it was in 2020, but we still have some days to make up for it. As I said, it runs through the 31st. If you have any questions or comments or thoughts or concerns, you can call the Shelby County Election Commission, and they will be able to field any questions that you may have in reference to all of this. Let's see here. Okay, I talked about the board the Formatta board, and that they were after that was appointed by Mayor Young. And now, like I said, they're already starting to, they push back on the dramatic cuts and things that the previous board accepted. This is going to go through February of next year, so they're going to revisit this, I guess, in February. We'll talk to Cynthia Bailey more about that in just a little while. That wraps up news and notes. And by the way, two things sports related. First of all, I am a Los Angeles native, and so my Dodgers are in the World Series against the New York Yankees. That game comes on tonight. Game 3 in New York City happens tonight. So we are, I'm going to try not to break any speed laws getting out of here so I can get home to watch the Dodgers beat them Yanks in New York City. And what was the other one? Oh, the Grizzlies play tonight as well. They play 3 games at home this week. So, yeah, the season is off. I think they're 2-0 now. So things are starting off good. So go Grizz. If that's your deal, if that's your thing, go Grizzlies. They're off to a good start. And would I not be a responsible journalist if I did not say, did the Dallas Cowboys play last night? Oh yeah, that's right. I think they did. Did they win? That was really the question that I wanted to ask. Oh, they didn't win? They didn't? Okay, sorry. Well, anyway, it was awful quiet on social media today for all the Dallas Cowboys that are in this in this town. And by the way, you could get redemption tonight because Pittsburgh plays the Giants, and so you'll have a chance to root against them. That's a look at news and notes on this Monday evening. Anyway, we're going to take our first break, and when we come back, let's get into it, shall we? It is the Monday edition of Real Talk Memphis. I'm Chip. You know who you are. Let's take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
If you like Real Talk, here's a way you can get involved. Do you have a show topic idea or suggestion? Want to be considered a guest or have a guest idea? Then send Chip a message on his Real Talk show page and you can be a part of the Real Talk experience. So as he always says, go out and tell somebody. We'll be right back.
The Memphis Brooks Museum of Art hosts Sounds of Memphis every Thursday evening where art and melody converge. Each week, a new Memphis powerhouse presents a unique evening that showcases the city's unparalleled musical legacy. From the soulful blues and rock and roll that define generations to the contemporary sounds shaping today's scene, Sounds of Memphis offers an unmatched music experience. Sponsored by the Turley Foundation Incorporated and Amy and Ronnie Wright. Cocktails and hors d'oeuvres will be available for purchase. More information can be found at brooksmuseum.org.
GPAC presents Valerie June on Saturday, November 9th at 8 p.m. With 3 critically acclaimed best-selling solo albums, June skillfully weaves a tapestry of folk, soul, gospel, country, blues, psychedelia, and symphonic pop. Find your center with Valerie June. More information and tickets for sale at gpacweb.com.
Huey's is proud to support WYXR's Raised by Sound Fest. Established in 1970 with 10 locations, Huey's menu includes burgers, sandwiches, and more. More information at hueyburger.com.
Programming on WYXR is brought to you by a grant from Arts Memphis, who has been working behind the scenes for 60 years to grow the foundation of Memphis arts.
The 27th Annual Indie Memphis Film Festival returns to Midtown Memphis from November 14th through the 19th with over 150 feature and short films, including world premieres, restored classics, award season hopefuls, and more. Passes and single screening tickets are available now at indiememphis.org.
Support for WYXR comes from the Halloran Center Presents, featuring the Memphis Songwriters Series hosted by Mark Egger Stewart. Mark and his musical guests take audiences on a journey behind the music, sharing personal stories and introducing new works. The season begins Thursday, November 7th with Matt Isbell, Reggie Dwayne, and Gia Welsh. More information at orpheum-memphis.com. Support for WYXR comes from the Halloran Center Presents, featuring the Queen's Regency Ball, a 19th century soulful murder mystery in partnership with Princeton James Productions. This immersive and interactive dinner theater experience includes a night of mystery, music, and more on Sunday, October 27th. More information and tickets available at orpheum-memphis.com.
Get Real Talk on the TuneIn mobile app under WYXR, and he's now streaming live on Facebook. And you can also catch a rebroadcast on YouTube. Just put WYXR in the search box and hit subscribe. Now back to more Real Talk with Chip Washington.
And welcome back to Real Talk Memphis on this Monday evening. Beautiful day in the city today. Beautiful night as well. Expect some rain and thunderstorms on Thursday. But in the meantime, and between time, glad you're here. We were supposed to have a guest. My first guest, Hendrell Remus, was supposed to check in with us. He's the head of the Tennessee State Democratic Party. He's the first black to be in that position, and of course, I wanted to find out, with about a week left, how things are looking statewide, number-wise, and how we're doing in the vote. Here in Memphis and Shelby County, we don't participate in the process as much as we should. This is a presidential election, which happens every 4 years. But generally speaking, we don't register to vote, and even the ones of us who registered don't go to the polls. The only good part about all of this in terms of numbers of individuals and involvement is in September, we saw about 6,000 or 7,000 young people register, first-time registered voters, which was even a surprise to the Election Commission, Linda Phillips, in terms of all of that. So it's nice to know that young people are engaged in the process of registration and registering to vote. However, it's a bigger deal if you actually go to the polls and cast your vote. It is just you in the ballot box. It's just you and your vote. It's secret. It's private. It is between you and your ballot. So you need to feel free to vote your conscience. We're not probably going to match the number of early voting that we saw in 2020. But if we can get a robust number out to the polls, it could affect some things. And remember, while there is a presidential election underway that we all know about, your local races are important too. They weigh some. They weigh some have some weight, and can allow you to have a certain perspective in all of this as to what happens in the future as time moves forward. We don't know because we have a lot of issues, and then here locally too, we have 3 referendums on the ballot pertaining to gun control that are very, very important. And if you've been listening to the show, we've had guests on to talk about all of this. The state threatened to withhold our state tax money if we even bothered to put it on the ballot, to which the city council decided to take that to court, and they sued the Shelby County Election Commission and won the right to have the referendums on the ballot. Now, it is also important to note this, that while they're on the ballot, you can vote for them, yes. The state has the final say in terms of whether they're going to adopt these amendments or not. Governor Lee says that it doesn't really matter what Memphis does because it can't override state control. But what you can do is send a message. What this does is first of all, it lets the state know that Memphis is not going to roll over and play dead at any time you decide you want to, try to control us like you did back in the old days. Okay, those days are over. So if you go out and you overwhelmingly vote in support of these gun control referendums, you are sending a much bigger message to the State House, and in the end, at the end of all of this, you never know what may just happen off the back end of it. How many of you saw portions of the rally that former President Trump had last night at the at the Madison Square Garden in New York City. He had a rally last night, and he had a lot of people speaking there who were very ugly in tone, very ugly in language, very derogatory, very sexist, very racist event that happened last night. And the one everyone is talking about, one of the folks in particular, is a comedian that performed last night, and he bashed everyone. He bashed African Americans. He bashed Palestinians. He bashed Asians. He bashed everyone. And one thing he said was made reference to the fact that there was a lot of trash and garbage, in the waters, out in the waters out there. And he said that I think they call it Puerto Rico. So he bashed not only American citizens who were in Puerto Rico, the Puerto Ricans themselves, and anybody associated with that. It was very distasteful, and it was vile. And if you have a disagreement with that, what I just said, that's fine by me. But I'm sure not going to change what I just said to suit you, because we have two standards, it seems, in this election, and I'm troubled by the fact that the Vice President of the United States seems to have to prove herself, and there's another standard for her versus the Republican. And I don't understand that. How is it that she has to be held to a whole different standard than he does? And all of these attitudes, all of this racial indifference and divisiveness is not going to do anything but make certain members of the population angry and very ugly in terms of what happened in this race. There are people in his own party that don't think that he is suitable enough to be president again in this country. This is why it is so important. And I said this before, and I'll say it again. Celebrity endorsements don't really move me one way or another, because at the end of the day, it's that one person who cast that one vote. And I don't know how influential they are or not, but the bottom line to it is, that you need to be your own celebrity in all of this, because when it comes down to voting, it's about you. And it's about what happens when you go in that booth. You need to do your homework, you need to study, and you need to pay attention to what is happening out here. When this comedian, Tony Hinchcliffe, called Puerto Rico a floating island of garbage, I mean, how much more do you need to know? How much more do you need to hear? How much more do you need to understand? This country is about as divided as it has ever been. That is why this race is neck and neck. That is why it is important for you to go cast your vote for whomever it is you decide to vote for, because the next 4 years are at stake in this country. You can either pay me now, or you can pay me later. And the bottom line to it is, we all have our choices for what our various reasons are. But for my taste, and for this is the chip thing only, I don't see why this race is as close as it is, neck and neck, and we may or may not know election night who's going to be the next president of the United States. But when you have people denigrating an entire country of people, citizens of people, they're under the United States, by the way. If anybody didn't know that, Puerto Rico is. And all the rest of the nastiness and just the ugliness that was spewed last night. So you had to make up your mind. Is this what you want, or who you want to lead our country? Or do you want civility? I asked a question to somebody the other day, a simple question. I said, whatever happened to civility, and whatever happened to integrity, and whatever happened to thoughtfulness? All that just goes out the window when things like this happen. We're going to take a break. When we come back, I guess our first guest could not make it tonight, but fear not, ladies and gentlemen, we still have plenty of show to go. Stick with us. We'll take another break, and we'll be right back on the Monday edition of Real Talk Memphis. I'm Chip. Don't go away.
If you like Real Talk, here's a way you can get involved. Do you have a show topic idea or suggestion? Want to be considered a guest? Or have a guest idea? Then send Chip a message on his Real Talk show page and you can be a part of the Real Talk experience. So as he always says, go out and tell somebody. We'll be right back.
In today's fast-paced digital world, support for community radio can't be raised by sound alone. St. Francis Elevator Ride is proud to support Raised by Sound Fest by making it an experience you can't just hear, you can see.
Want to reach a passionate audience who loves Memphis's arts and music scene? Sponsor WYXR and connect your brand with the city's creative community. More information at wyxr.org/sponsorship.
Want to make a big impact without getting lost in a big system? Join Youth Villages to be a force for families while becoming part of one. Help make positive changes on a national scale, one community at a time. It takes a family to transform lives. Start with yours. Apply now at youthvillages.org/careers. Support for WYXR comes from Team Clean. With more than 22 years of experience, Team Clean provides services for home, work, or studio space. Biodegradable cleaning products mixed with common sense and tailored to each client's needs. Estimates and information at weareteamclean.com. Support for WYXR comes from the Halloran Center for Performing Arts and Education, setting the stage for everyone. The Halloran Center next door to the Orpheum invites you to be in the center of it all through live entertainment, arts education, community programs, and event spaces all year round. More information at orpheum-memphis.com.
I'm Patrick Tamburino, host of the Techno Strategist podcast. Join me as we navigate the ever-evolving world of IT managed services and beyond. We'll explore everything from selecting the ideal tech partner to the forefront of cutting-edge technologies, all infused with my own unique perspective and hopefully a touch of humor. Don't forget to tune in to the Techno Strategist on the WYXR podcast network. For more information, head over to wyxr.org.
Support for WYXR comes from Lens Rentals. Based in Memphis and offering nationwide shipping, Lens Rentals offers online rentals for photography, videography, and lighting equipment from a full catalog of brands. More information on services and equipment at lensrentals.com.
Did you know you could donate your vehicle and support WYXR at the same time? We offer free pickup and it's tax deductible. Go to cars.wyxr.org to donate your car today.
I'm DJ Alpha Whiskey, host of Flight Risk, and you're listening to WYXR 91.7 FM. As a nonprofit community radio station, we rely on the generosity of donors like you to keep your favorite programming on the airwaves. Become a contributing listener today at wyxr.org/donate.
Shannon and Cecilia here. Do you love stories featuring community changemakers in Memphis? Don't miss Just Buffin', a feel-good podcast found online in the WYXR Podcast Network.
Access all our podcasts at wyxr.org.
In today's fast-paced digital world, support for community radio can't be raised by sound alone. St. Francis Elevator Ride is proud to support Raised by Sound Fest by making it an experience you can't just hear, you can see.
Support for the 2024 Raised by Sound Festival comes from a grant from the Tennessee Arts Commission, whose mission is to cultivate the arts for the benefit of all Tennesseans and their communities.
Independent Bank is proud to support the diverse programming of WYXR that reflects and lifts up our community. More information how iBank can help you work toward your financial dreams at i-bankonline.com. Member FDIC. Support for WYXR, including our 2024 Raised by Sound Festival, comes from Across the Board Catering. Across the Board can help cater your next event, from luncheons to weddings and everything in between. More information at eatacrosstheboard.com.
Get Real Talk on the TuneIn mobile app under WYXR, and he's now streaming live on Facebook. And you can also catch a rebroadcast on YouTube. Just put WYXR in the search box and hit subscribe. Now back to more Real Talk with Chip Washington.
And welcome back to Real Talk Memphis on this Monday evening, a beautiful Monday evening in the city. It is Chip with you. I'm glad you're hanging in there with us this evening. This is okay. All right. So we were waiting on our next guest, and I'm told that she is up and about to log in just a minute, and a little bit later on we'll talk to Cynthia Bailey. She is one of the newest MATA board members, and she'll be joining us live in studio to talk about kind of what has happened and what is going on. And there she is, my friend. I don't know if she could. Deborah, can you hear me and see me okay?
Yes.
How are you tonight? It's good to see you.
You too. I'm well. How are you doing?
Doing excellent. Thank you very much. And ladies and gentlemen, for those who don't know, my next guest is someone who's been in the fight for a long time for the rights of others. She is the executive director at the Memphis Area Women's Council, and her name is Deborah Clubb. And haven't seen to talk to Deborah in a while, but as I stated at the top of the show, October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. And I try not to let the month go by without acknowledging that and acknowledging how serious a situation that is for so many people out there who are dealing with this. And Deborah is really on the front lines of all of this. And Deborah, it's really great to see you and great to have you on the show again. So I read something recently that said that the numbers, unfortunately, for domestic violence are on the rise again here in Memphis and Shelby County. Can you shed any light on that?
Well, I think I saw something about maybe a 2% difference between this time last year and now or something. And I've seen a couple of different numbers for how many aggravated assaults, domestic violence have been reported or charged by police. So somewhere in the 1,000 range, which to me really ought to be, if that's what's been reported, it ought to be like 4,000 or 5,000, because you see it's a terribly underreported crime. So unlike many of the folks in town who work on reducing crime, I think domestic violence sits in a category of its own, because we need those numbers to go up, because it means, Chip, that people are getting help, that they're calling, they're trying to make the violence stop, they're trying to get help with the problems that are making them endangered, making them live in a household that is traumatizing for themselves and their children. So domestic violence, whether it's vandalism, whether it's simple assault, whether it's aggravated assault, whether it's any of the ways, stalking, that really needs to be more reported. Those numbers need to continue to go up until everyone is asking for help and getting the help they need to get out of those relationships.
Why isn't it as reported as it should be? In terms of that, why aren't we hearing more about that? In your opinion?
Well, I've been trying to do this work for about 20 years and learned a lot when I first stepped out of the newspaper world and into the world of women's advocacy and gender violence work. And one thing that it was very soon apparent to me is that no one wants to walk around in their life with the word victim, like in a little label on top of their forehead, No one wants to be that. So all of this work I saw being done to try to message to victims of domestic violence was such a complete turnoff to me. I figured it had to be to many, many, many other women and others who are in these toxic relationships. So we have tried to talk about messaging to survivors and listening to survivors and getting help to those who are in very difficult, very rocky, very dangerous even relationships, to get them to understand that what's happening is not their fault. It is a crime and there is help. But there's still so much shame or humiliation, or sometimes simply an inability to ask for help because of the control that batterer, that abuser puts on to folks in those relationships.
Yeah. And in talking about that, and I think one thing, and you and I haven't talked in some time, but in between the time, last time we talked in this, we had COVID. And of course, when COVID hit, it affected everybody on several levels. And one thing I did understand is that when everything was shut down, folks who were in serious situations economically and a lot of other ways, dealing with a domestic partner, those numbers went up dramatically because of the stress involved in all of that and the whole 9 yards. Are we starting to? Well, first of all, let me get your take on that. I mean, would you agree with that? I mean, in terms of, and I talked to a few folks, and they said, I mean, that was one of the things that was one of the keys that dramatically, increased the number of domestic violence cases because people couldn't work and they had to be confined in a space, and there was a lot of stress that was involved in trying to keep a household going and things like that. Would you agree with that?
Oh, absolutely. COVID was terribly, terribly stressful, and people were locked, as you say. We were shut in. We were ordered to stay home, even when doing that meant that we were staying in a very unsafe or very volatile situation day after day after day.
Mm-hmm.
But as I recall, because people were at home and so much under the thumb of abusers, the numbers did not go up until we got out again, until the lock-ins were lifted. And then there was a real rush to get help, because we even had a special video campaign that said to people, like in the surrounding homes or apartment units, it was if you hear something through the wall, if you hear someone being hurt, then you make the call for help, because that person is trapped,
right,
and can't make that call,
right,
can't even get out of the house to go to the grocery and sneak and make a call, isn't in the car to go to the gas station. I mean, just really trapped.
Yeah.
So during the height of COVID, many of us were very, very concerned that people were unable to seek help, even those who were ready to, as we see on an ordinary year. But once we had the capacity for people to get out, make phone calls, see people again, then there was a real surge in people seeking services.
I know that this is, and I've heard this several times, and you mentioned it. There's a shame that's associated with this. There's guilt, is shame, and and you said something about feeling like you have the word victim stamped on your forehead, that keeps people from seeking the help that is available. And I know, Deborah, you've been doing this for a long time, and and even today, how difficult is it to have someone who is in feel like they're trapped in a situation, to be able to get enough courage to be able to find the resources that are available for them to get the help that they need during these very desperate times?
Well, I think what's the biggest challenge is for someone to understand, to really hear that it's not her fault or his fault. It's not. And so to have the confidence again, or the to think well enough of yourself again to make the effort. It's you've been diminished and demeaned so much, because the verbal abuse is the worst. It's the maximum number, the highest number of people who are hurt in these relationships. It's not the physical. It's the constant emotional, verbal tearing down in front of people, just day in and day out, being told you're worthless, nobody cares, nobody's going to help you, cry you want to, I could take your teeth out, nobody's going to care. It's that stuff that people have to fight over, climb over, in order to make these calls for help. So we just can only, all of us, every one of us in all our relationships, can be the personship that brings that awareness that there is help, that there is MemphisSaysNoMore.com, that there are these little cards that we have that all of us could have in our wallet or back pocket that we can give to somebody, even in line at the grocery store when you see somebody being treated badly.
Yeah.
Certainly ministers need to have them. ER nurses have them. We've been getting them into the hospitals. Teachers need to have them. Counselors need to have them, because it's not a judgment. It's there's help. Here are the numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Here are the numbers. So when you need somebody, you can actually call. And then, so each of us can be equipped to help. And then if they turn back to us and say, come help me, please be really smart about that. Figure out how to do that safely. Do not just drive up in your SUV and try to start helping somebody move out of an apartment from a toxic relationship, because that's when people get hurt. That's when people get really, often too many times, shot and killed even during these really toxic relationships. It's when you're trying to leave. So I get why people, between the isolation and the demeaning that happens and the potential danger that these people can have when they escalate, I get why it takes people a long time sometimes to get out. But we need folks to understand that there is a way to do it safely. You don't have to live in that.
You mentioned something and that people don't really think about often when you talk about domestic abuse, and that is the verbal aspect of it. And that's a very big deal. That really is. And that can tear someone down, to the point of not wanting to be here. Let's not talk about, a relationship ending and someone is upset about that and they don't want to let the other person go for whatever reason that wants to go. But the verbal abuse is just as prominent, based on what you just said, is really the physical abuse, is it not?
I've seen numbers in the millions from the national gatherings where people get together and talk about domestic violence. I've seen numbers in the millions as the estimate, which is all we can really do, for people who live in these toxic, terrible, verbally, emotionally, just killing relationships, just constant yelling, screaming, nasty, ugly words and all that. And I've had women tell me, Chip, that they would rather have a physical beating than that constant verbal stuff, because they can't get it out of their heads. They can never get away from it. It just stays in them. And the beating can actually stop. Maybe that pain can actually recede, but the stuff that you're told about yourself and what a worthless, etc. And I can't say the words on the air.
Sure.
You know what they are. That they're yelled at day in and day out. They're called, things worse than anything.
Yeah.
So yes, that is a terrible thing. But we also can't quit talking without talking about domestic violence, homicide. These people who take the extreme measure of you're not going to be on the planet if I don't have control of you. And it's a horror. It's just a horror. But that's why people need to be smart, and we all need to be engaged in trying to help each other be safe, because that is the ultimate expression of the horror of domestic violence.
And as you said, there are resources available, your organization, and there are places that you can go. There are numbers that you can call, and help is available. And really, Deborah, I'm so happy that you were available. We can connect tonight because this is still an extraordinarily critical and important topic. Of course, we know what happened over at Shelby Farms about a week or so ago, and just so many other cases that we may not hear about. But to know that there is a problem, but more importantly, to know that there are organizations like yours and so many others out there who would provide help and information for those, because there is help available. You don't have to live in this forever. There is help, and more importantly, there is hope on the other side. That's right. So I just urge everyone to, let's look after each other as much as we can and help get information to those who need it. Absolutely. Deborah Clubb, Executive Director at the Memphis Area Women's Council. Deborah, it's great to see you. Thanks for taking the time to come on and talk with us tonight. I really appreciate it. Chip, I'm so glad to see you again. You take care. You too. Thank you. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. This is serious stuff. And, you don't have to be a victim. There are places, there are resources available for you to get the help that you need. Let's take another break. And when we come back, we're going to shift gears and we're going to talk about public transportation and what has been happening in that world. We have an in-studio guest with us. This is Real Talk Memphis. I'm Chip. Glad to have you with us. We'll be right back.
If you like Real Talk, here's a way you can get involved. Do you have a show topic idea or suggestion? Want to be considered a guest or have a guest idea? Then send Chip a message on his Real Talk show page and you can be a part of the Real Talk experience. So as he always says, go out and tell somebody. We'll be right back.
DJ Alpha Whiskey, host of Flight Risk, and you're listening to WYXR 91.7 FM. As a nonprofit community radio station, we rely on the generosity of donors like you to keep your favorite programming on the airwaves. Become a contributing listener today at wyxr.org/donate.
Programming on WYXR is brought to you by a grant from Arts Memphis, who has been working behind the scenes for 60 years to support and amplify arts events, programs, and experiences that together make a more vibrant and accessible Memphis arts scene.
Programming on WYXR is brought to you by a grant from Arts Memphis, who has been working behind the scenes for 60 years to grow the foundation of Memphis arts.
Want to reach a passionate audience who loves Memphis's arts and music scene? Sponsor WYXR and connect your brand with the city's creative community. More information at wyxr.org/sponsorship.
Get Real Talk on the TuneIn mobile app under WYXR, and he's now streaming live on Facebook. And you can also catch a rebroadcast on YouTube. Just put WYXR in the search box and hit subscribe. Now back to more Real Talk with Chip Washington.
And welcome back to Real Talk Memphis on this Monday evening. Chip with you, and many of us have been aware of the issues involving MATA, our public transportation company, and they've been well known, well documented. Well, recently the mayor, Paul Young, made an executive decision to wipe out the old MATA board and bring in a new board with some fresh ideas, some fresh thoughts, some fresh faces, and we have one of those board members joining me now. Her name is Cynthia Bailey. She is one of the newly minted MATA board members, and more importantly, she knows this from firsthand experience, which is why I want to have her on the show. Cynthia, it's great to see you. How you doing tonight?
Hello, how are you?
I'm doing good. Listen, thank you for taking the time to come and be with us tonight. Really appreciate that.
Appreciate that.
So, we were talking during the break, and I said, well, one of the things that I have read as people have been trying to sort of parse this. I think first and foremost, people are very happy that the old board is gone, but that this new 9-member board has been charged with moving forward in reference to this bus situation. And the one thing I really liked is the fact that they added you to the board because you are a bus rider, are you not?
Correct.
Yeah, every day, right? Is that what you do?
Every day, I'm a bus rider.
Okay, so you understand firsthand the problems, the frustrations, the difficulties, and everything else that goes along with all of this, and firsthand perspective, and you give it a firsthand perspective.
Yes.
So you can be very honest and open about all of this. What do you think? Because you're also a member of one of the bus rider unions.
Yes, the co-chair organizer.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So when you were dealing with MATA, old leadership, and old board, what were some of the biggest frustrations that you felt as a bus rider?
Yeah, so I feel that the main thing is to listen to the people who out here, and that is the riders. We'll go up there to the board and we would state our comments and never get feedbacks. We needed feedbacks on our comments that we're talking about, like 2 hours wait, change your routes twice, 3 times yearly. It seems like they hear us, but it never got to where we got feedbacks on these. Mm-hmm. Meaning that, we can get up here and just actually tell them what we experience out here every day. Mm-hmm. And when I say we, I'm talking as a community as a whole, as riders. Like I said, I'm out here in the community every day. Mm-hmm. I'm down at the bus tournament at Hudson Station. People know who I am. Mm-hmm. So they come to me because they depend and they know that I'm going to react to their actions.
Sure.
So when I bring it back, and I may meet with MATA board, MATA leadership. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I used to meet with the city officials. and we'll just give them, comments on what people complaining about. And it seems to us that we never, it seems like we're not where people are listening. I mean, they hear us, but are you responding and taking action to what we are saying?
And obviously a lot of that wasn't happening. They weren't paying attention, and they weren't doing anything about the problems that we see. This new board has taken action relatively quickly. You used the term freeze, and so in other words, the positions that were to be cut have there's temporary halt to that right now. Yes. As well as the routes that were supposed to be cut, and there was something else I can't remember.
They doing the layoffs. It was
and the layoffs too. So and obviously that gives people a sense. Well, okay, well they're starting to do some things now that should maybe have been considered a long time ago. You're doing this till February. Any particular reason why this freeze is going to be going on at least temporarily until February?
Yes. So I was at a couple of weeks ago. I was at the Memphis City Council meeting. Yes. And I remember like 3 of the city councils was kind of like telling, well, let's put ourselves in these operator shoes. Let's put ourselves in the rider shoes. Yeah. So I felt more passion for the community, and I think it was mostly because of the holidays coming up. Yeah. And that's anyone that don't want to lose jobs or unable to pay their bills because they no longer have work. So I think the passion was more, let's look at the big picture. Yeah. The big picture is right now, people don't want to go through these issues because it can be depression. Yeah, sure. So once when I heard that, I felt better. I felt good, like, okay, they're listening to us. And then they start looking into other issues that was happening at MATA. Okay. So I think what's happening here is that they're putting the community first. And it's time for us to stop looking at what one agency say, and let's look at the community, because the community is well needed to continuously their routes and their jobs.
So in reference to this, and this goes until February, so will you reconvene? And I know the mayor is trying to find some money. Yes. And about, I think it was $5 million. I think I heard. Yes. So they were trying to do this. So he really is taking an active approach in all of this. You're right. I've had city council members on this show, and they were fighting angry about what was going on with the community, because it was unconscionable what was happening, especially when we all found out about the $60 million deficit, and more importantly than that, what they were spending the money on. Instead of improving conditions, new buses, the whole situation, and that really, I think that angered a lot of people. And then on the back end of that, say, well, on top of that, we're going to lay off all these folks, we're going to cut these routes and everything. Do you find just in general really understand the plight of someone who has to take public transportation on a daily basis? Because a lot of folks are driving cars and they're doing this, but when you have to be in a situation where you have to rely on public transportation, that's when the rubber meets the road in all of this. Am I correct in that?
Yes, definitely that. And once again, I'm always connecting with the riders, or should you say the community as whole. And I hear so many stories, and most of the stories is that they waited 2 hours and some odd minutes on one bus. Yeah. And not only that, but some of them was threatened by their supervisor or the management of their job, that if they be late again, then they might get a write-up or either just fired. So things like that is what we really need to look at when we talk about reliable sustainability transportation. We want to make sure that our transportation is accuracy for everyone. We want people, not only just the riders going to work, but we want people like visitors to come in, tourists. Like now, it's an event coming up in November, next month, for the Kojik coming in. Yeah. So it's important that we have reliable transportation for our guests. especially like the trolley wise.
They're going to so eventually you think there's going to be a reinstitution of the trolleys and the trolley lines downtown?
Not right now, but I think probably about the next 3 months. It's out there, it's up in the air, but it's not a guarantee.
Yeah.
But my factor would be, why not put something out there as an alternative, which means it can be the shuttle buses. We want something that people can say, okay, we don't have the trolley, but at least we got something that will get us back and forth.
Yeah.
Because we want our transportation to be comfortable for everyone. So not having these trolleys out here is one thing, but not having something else to replace it is another thing. And I don't think they're going to replace with anything at this point.
You, Johnny Mosby, and Sammy Hunter. I've talked to all of you several times, and from Sammy's perspective, of course, relieved that the board has been changed. But one of the things he also wants to see is replacement of the current leadership structure within MATA. Do you have an opinion on that one way or not?
Right now, I'm not going to say.
Okay.
But I will say that we need to focus on our riders when we in leadership.
Yeah.
Make sure that riders first.
Riders first.
Riders first. So I'm going to leave it like that.
Yeah. There's a lot to do. There's a lot to do here. I mean, you are, and it's very clear that you have been charged with this responsibility. You and eight other board members here to get, and you've already started making moves that people are, wow, okay. So we're going to be watching, obviously, and waiting and watching to see what happens. But again, as someone who does this on a daily basis, who rides that bus on a daily basis, there's no one more qualified than you, I think, to be able to speak as an advocate for the people who do what you do on a daily basis.
Yeah, so once again, I would like to say I've been riding the bus. I've been advocating for 26 years, but as a bus rider for 30. So nobody no more than myself, along with Sammy Hunter and Johnny Mosby, we know what the riders need.
Yeah.
We know exactly when they need it and how they need it.
There you go.
So I thank Mayor Young for it couldn't be no better choice than myself, because when I speak solely for ridership.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
And don't get around, I mean, I see hope in this. I believe in hope, but we're going to need, as a reminder, that everybody be a part of this. We need everybody, meaning the leadership. We need like I said, the new board member. We need other advocates. So this is a Memphian thing now.
Yeah.
This is no longer just a MATA thing. This is a whole Memphian thing. And I hate that we even got this way, but we don't want to look back on the past. We need to look back now at the future, and we need to make an adjustments for this.
Cynthia Bailey, ladies and gentlemen, newly minted MATA board member and avid bus rider in this city. Thanks for coming. It's been great to talk to you.
Sure.
Good to have you, and we'll be keeping up with you as time moves forward. We appreciate that. That's going to wrap us, ladies and gentlemen, for this edition of Real Talk Memphis. Glad to have you with us. If you were out there, you can always check it out online, and of course the podcast in a couple of days as well. As Brent plays us out. It's been a great show. We always appreciate you being a part of it. If you like what we do, look, tell somebody. The more folks are engaged in the process, the more we can get things done. So for all of us here at Real Talk Memphis, for Brand, for lovely Lola, and for yours truly, Chip, thank you, Memphis, for supporting what we do. And be safe, be careful until the next time we meet again. So this wraps another edition. And as I always say on my way out the door, we are done. See you soon.